it appears that he defected based on the evidence. After he disappeared, they had more strikes against them, and they expected them to be looking for him. So I think it endangered the soldiers that were there.
Many Americans consider Bergdahl a traitor, and the backlash led his hometown to cancel a celebration of Bergdahl's freedom.
We're talking about this before the president came on, is that we have a federal statute which makes it a felony to provide material assistance to a terrorist organization. Now, material assistance is defined very, very broadly. It could be money, it could be maps, it could be professional services, it could be any asset whatsoever, including human assets. So I have argued that by letting these people free, and the natural and probable result of them being let free is that they will rejoin this terrorist organization. The president has done what his Justice Department has prosecuted people for, successfully prosecuted people for, providing material assistance to a terrorist organization.
Couple of issues. To the worst, and everybody agrees that are more than likely to go back to terror and are going to be part of the brain trust of the Taliban.
That's why I say the president may very well have committed a federal crime by giving material assistance to a terrorist organization. He knows, ought to have known, that that's what these guys will do.
Andy McCarthy, a friend of this program who's got a new book out, he said yesterday...
He says the president should be impeached for this.
That's what he does say. He says it's crimes and misdemeanors.
In my view, it's a very, very valid argument that people are going to start talking about. Look, the last time a president was impeached, it was a disaster, and it was arguably over nonsense. This is far, far more serious. But, if you look at the backgrounds of the five of them, they are not foot soldiers. They are major manipulators and organizers of the military and intelligence arm of the Taliban.
Sure.
This is an enormous shot in the arm, not just emotionally for them. Aha, we got 5 of our guys for 1 of theirs. This is a strategic, tactical boost to them. The very thing that the government is prohibited from doing under federal law. It is almost inconceivable that the Obama administration dispatched to a Sunday morning talk show its most practiced and successful liar, Susan Rice. She's the one who said this guy served honorably and decently.
Sergeant Bergdahl wasn't simply a hostage. He was an American prisoner of war, captured on the battlefield. He served the United States with honor and distinction.
She's the one who said this guy served honorably and decently.
Why would she say that?
Problem.
Why would she say that?
I don't know why she would say it, Brian. It is contrary to all evidence, and nobody believes her. It lasted for a day. The president has even rejected that argument today.
And even the State Department has.
You know, the president took the position when he signed the law that he didn't like it and he might enforce it and might not enforce it. That defies his oath, Brian, because the presidential oath says the president shall faithfully, I emphasize the word faithfully because it's in the oath and it's in the Constitution, enforce the federal laws. The reason the framers put the word faithfully in there is to remind presidents they have to enforce all the laws whether they agree with them or not.
They did not expect this criticism of the attempt to go get Bergdahl in the way that it was done. And that appears to be what's caught them off guard. And that's why I think they look like they're on their back feet on this one. And then you heard the president basically admit that Congress wasn't consulted and at the same time said, but they were sort of consulted. They knew this was on the table.
Never negotiating with terrorists, and certainly the Haqqani Network is a terrorist organization. First, people should remember he was not taken captive on a battlefield. He was not engaged in combat, as we lose most of our POWs are. He's a guy who just in the middle of the night decided he wanted to walk across the base and go out into town. So I think that muddles the story a little bit and tells us still there's room for investigation of what he was up to and what he was trying to accomplish.
A former Army specialist who was serving alongside Army Sergeant Bowe Bergdahl as part of a 3-person unit when he disappeared has taken to Twitter to accuse Sergeant Bergdahl of premeditated desertion of his fellow men. Former Army Specialist Cody Full tweets that before his capture by the Taliban in 2009, Sergeant Bergdahl packed up his belongings and sent them home. Among the questions being asked by critics, was the exchange of 5 Taliban commanders for 1 U.S. soldier a fair deal? Does the prisoner exchange set a bad precedent?
The United States of America does not ever leave our men and women in uniform behind.
Did the Obama administration break the law by going around Congress? What were the circumstances that led to Sergeant Bergdahl's capture in the first place? Some of them referring to reports that several service members died while searching for Sergeant Bergdahl. There's also the Rolling Stone article from 2012 that quotes emails Sergeant Bergdahl sent to his parents in which he condemns the war in Afghanistan, saying, "I'm ashamed to even be an American."
Chief Washington correspondent James Rosen has learned Army Sergeant Bowe Bergdahl converted to Islam during his captivity with the Taliban and even considered himself a, quote, warrior for Islam, according to secret documents.
Margaret, thanks. The outcry over Sergeant Bergdahl's conduct in Afghanistan is getting louder this morning. A petition on the White House website calls for him to be court-martialed for walking away from his post in 2009. This morning, roughly 15,000 names appear on that petition.
General Martin Dempsey, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, suggested Tuesday that nothing was off the table. Our Army's leaders will not look away from misconduct if it occurred. Specialist Cody Full was in Bowe Bergdahl's platoon. He says if Bergdahl escapes punishment, it would send a dangerous message.
Once you go to a combat zone, you're supposed to stay there and protect your brothers and be with your brothers and upheld your mission. And for whatever reason, if you don't like what's going on, you can just walk off and you won't get in trouble at all.
Many Americans consider Bergdahl a traitor, and the backlash led his hometown to cancel a celebration of Bergdahl's freedom.
Organizers say they were concerned about potentially large crowds, as many as 10,000 people made up of supporters and protesters. It very well could have been the biggest event Haley had ever seen.
Yellow ribbons and signs of support were supposed to be the prequel to a massive celebration later this month to welcome home Sergeant Bowe Bergdahl. But here in his hometown of Haley, Idaho, plans to honor the soldier have been canceled. The decision comes after hundreds of angry emails and calls poured into City Hall, attacking Bergdahl and accusing him of being a deserter.
He is considered AWOL and is a traitor to this country.
Was kept in a cage while he was part of this camp run by the Haqqani network. Does this significantly change the game because it confirms what his fellow soldiers have been saying that the White House has been trying to dispute for days?
So here's what came out today since the last time we were here. New York Times reported that Bergdahl on 2 separate occasions walked off from the base that he was at, one time in California, one time in Afghanistan, prior to the time that he allegedly walked off and was captured or whatever happened with the Taliban. As you point out, he converted to Islam. He declared himself a warrior for Islam while he was in captivity. Add that to the emails to the parents, add that to the journal he left behind, and what you end up with, the same facts, with one extra fact that the Obama administration spiked the ball, did their victory dance in the end zone way too soon. I understand they still want to get him back. He's an American. You want to get him back. But before you go ahead and parade the parents out and, do your Rose Garden thing, you better make sure who the guy you're saving really is.
James.
Greta, good evening. These secret documents obtained by Fox News show that toward the end of his 5 years in captivity among the Haqqani network, Sergeant Bowe Bergdahl was said to have converted to Islam and was, according to one eyewitness account, observed openly fraternizing with his captors, including taking part in AK-47 target practice with them, and had declared himself a, quote, mujahid, or warrior for Islam. And these documents offer the most detailed, real-time accounts yet known to exist, chronicling what Sergeant Bergdahl's life in captivity was like, and they show that the wayward soldier's relations with his captors morphed over time, from periods of real hostility, where he tried to escape and was treated very much like a hostage, indeed like an animal actually set into a cage, to periods of seeming affection and ideological alignment, Greta.
These last few years, we've seen an unacceptable abuse of power, having a president whose priority is expanding his own power. Any guess on who said that, Mr. Speaker? It was Senator Barack Obama. Here's another one. No law can give Congress a backbone if it refuses to stand up as a co-equal branch. The Constitution made it. What do we do with a president who can basically change what Congress passed by attaching a letter saying, I don't agree with this part or that part?
Whoever they are, if they wouldn't be in Gitmo if they weren't serious actors on the bad guy side. So they're going to get back. They're going to get settled in. I think Kelly or Jack Keane, somebody just recommended or just said that they'll be welcomed home as heroes. That's true. But when all that hero stuff and all that adulation is over, they're going to settle in and try to decide how they can come back and attack American interests, whether it be our 9,800 troops over there, whether it be our other diplomatic facilities that are in Afghanistan, non-governmental organizations that Americans are working for. I believe, unfortunately, Americans are going to pay a price somewhere, somehow, sometime, out of some of these, if not all of these, 5 guys who were released, and the question will come back. We are all happy that Sergeant Bergdahl is back and safely in our hands, but there's just...
If our team's in charge, we have one set of rules. If our team's not in charge, we have another set of rules. I think people are tired of that. I think they want the executive to enforce the law no matter which party is in power. And I think they want the executive to enforce the law no matter which party is in power.